Chapter 112 Hidden Message. From Fourth Sister's argument, it appears that the youth named Han truly has some ability. Second wife Li gently said, while slightly wrinkling her eyebrows. Third wife hesitated a moment before sighing and speaking her mind. There is no need to say any more. His concentration is already far greater than the fakes. I remember when that pretty boy saw my face, my grand heavenly fox technique had infatuated him for an entire day before he recovered. The one named Han was initially only somewhat bewildered, but he had immediately cleared his mind afterward. It can clearly be seen that his mental energy is outstanding. He is by no means ordinary. After hearing these words, the three wives became quiet. Everyone appeared thoughtful, as if they all had something bad to say. After a moment, Lady Yan bitterly smiled and took the initiative to speak first. With such a ferocious person, it's impossible to discern whether or not he will bring fortune or disaster to our Mo estate. Take out the secret letter. Once everyone sees it, it will be clear. These words came from outside the room, and were not spoken by Lady Yan, but rather by the refined, elegant fifth wife. She walked into the room. I have already inspected the surrounding area very carefully. There are no outsiders within a 200-meter radius, and the sentry guards were reinforced as well. Fifth wife said expressionlessly. Lady Yan lowered her head in thought and eventually opened her mouth. You all surely remember the words Lord Husband gave before he left. After he departed, if someone delivered an unmarked letter without a hidden message, it would prove that he is safe and that we may feel at ease. However, if the letter was marked and concealed a hidden message, then it would definitely contain news that would be far from good. We must prepare ourselves mentally. As for this letter, we all saw that the letter was marked and concealed a hidden message. Regardless of how grim the news is, this is something we must face sooner or later. Let us take out and read the true letter. Third wife's voice was no longer sweet and charming, but was instead brimming with sorrow. Very well. Since everyone has finished preparing themselves, we will now uncover the hidden message. Lady Yan said decisively. No longer hesitating, she grabbed a teacup and kettle from a nearby desk and proceeded to fill the cup halfway with cool water. She then grabbed her dragon-shaped ring and lightly twisted it several times, unexpectedly separating it in two and thus exposing a hidden, white medicinal powder. Lady Yan carefully poured the medicine powder into the teacup and then looked to the people at her sides. Second wife Li gazed at Lady Yan and was the first to stand. She gracefully arrived in front of the desk and raised her hand. Her pure, white finger unexpectedly also wore a similar ring. Lady Li took out a small amount of medicinal powder from the ring and poured it into the teacup. However, her powder was red, and seemed to differ from Lady Yan's. Third wife and fifth wife followed with similar actions. They both had dragon rings that contained a yellow and a black medicinal powder respectively. Lady Yan waited until after everyone had finished before picking up the teacup and lightly swirling it. As a result, the originally multicolored liquid actually became clear. Finished. The water has become clear. Second sister, you are the most skilled with your hands. It would be best if elder sister were to smear the paper. Lady Yan modestly said to second wife Li. After Lady Li heard this, she faintly smiled. With the letter and the medicinal water, she began to work. During this short amount of time, aside from Lady Li smearing the medicinal water on the letter's surface, there was a complete silence, causing the room's atmosphere to become more tense. It is done. The letter has been completely smeared. Next, we should have fifth sister help dry this letter with her inner strength. Lady Li straightened her body, wiping the fragrant sweat off her forehead and speaking to fifth wife with a smile. The cool, elegant young woman nodded her head and swiftly took the damp letter. She then extended her other hand, and with a slight use of force, a faint, blazing heat was emitted from her palm. She placed her palm 3 inches away from the letter and slowly dried it. After a short period of time, the letter was completely dried, and the letter's black ink had completely disappeared. In its place appeared some faint red handwriting. This was Dr. Mo's scheme to use Han Li to deliver a message to his wives, a hidden message. Han Li wasn't aware about what happened in the room after he left. At the moment, there was a little demoness standing before him that caused him to feel a large headache. While on their way, this third young lady Mo had unexpectedly and brazenly requested a so-called first meeting gift from her senior martial brother. What kind of present would junior martial sister like? Without a better option, Han Li helplessly pinched his nose and prepared himself to satisfy her request. Any precious stones, jewelry, or perhaps something fun and interesting will do. I'm not very picky. Actually, if you don't have anything, then giving 7,000 to 8,000 taels of silver will also do. This can be regarded as your test. Mo Kaiwan said innocently without a trace guilt as she blinked her large dark eyes. 7,000 to 8,000 taels of silver? When Han Li heard this, he nearly fell to the floor. This little demoness was like a lioness widely opening her mouth, not the least bit fearful for her life. Taking into account everything I have on hand, I don't possess such an amount of silver. Even if I did, it would be impossible to give it to her. Does she take me for a foolish squanderer? Although Han Li thought this, his expression didn't change. However, looking at the girl's expression, there was quite a bit of meaning in her gaze. Mo Kaiwan was quite clever. With just a glance, she could make out some of Han Li's thoughts. She slanted her small mouth and deliberately shouted in surprise, "Senior Martial Brother Han, you don't have a gift to commemorate your first meeting with this adorable junior martial sister? You should know that the year when I first met young Master Wu, he gave me a 10,000 silver banknotes as pocket money." The moment Han Li heard this, he grew angry. Of course, the one surnamed Wu is scheming for your family's wealth to receive twice the amount in return. I don't have the slightest intention to give you such a gift. In addition, your father planted a yin poison in me. My small life could end at any moment. Han Li was furious, but he simply looked up to the sky. Without moving, he looked at this little demoness and began wondering which item he had on hand was worth the least. Mo Kaiwan saw this Han Li as an unsophisticated, dark boy who was actually playing the fool and not saying a word. He did not take notice of her, causing her heart to be somewhat worried. Ever since last year, after she had swindled a great amount of money from young Master Wu, she dreamed of another person to take advantage of every night. Now after all that trouble, she had another opportunity. But this guy, who seemed to be her father's true disciple, was unmoved and even had a face thicker than a city wall. How could he act so hard and indifferently toward such a cute girl as herself? He didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy. Did he not notice her practiced tears quickly flowing down her cheeks? Still remaining indifferent, he was truly infuriating.